A mean lord exiles fairy tale creatures to the swamp of a grumpy ogre who must go on a quest and rescue a princess for the lord in order to get his land back. Today, we will recap the story of the 2001 movie Shrek. Once there was a beautiful princess who was under a powerful curse that could only be broken by the expression of true love. She was kept in a castle guarded by a fierce dragon that breathed fire. Although many brave knights tried to rescue her, none succeeded. The princess waited for her true love in the highest room of the tallest tower in the dragon's keep. A green ogre tears a page out of a book and then goes to use an outhouse. He returns to his house, which is built into a tree stump, and takes a mud shower and brushes his teeth with caterpillar guts. He jumps into a pond and farts, causing some dead fish to float up, which he grabs for dinner. The ogre then paints a sign warning for others to be aware of him. A group of men come out of a tavern and plan to capture the ogre for a reward. They arm themselves with pitchforks and torches and head towards the ogre's house. Meanwhile, the ogre is eating a bowl of eyeballs and then lights his fireplace with a burp. He swallows the fish and relaxes in his chair. The men arrive at night, but the ogre sneaks up behind them and frightens them by describing what he could do to them. He then roars, and the men run away in fear. Later, the ogre finds a poster offering a reward for capturing fairy tale creatures, but he throws it on the ground and walks away. In the forest, fairy tale creatures like the 7 dwarves, Pinocchio, and Tinkerbell are being loaded into wagons for rewards. A talking donkey is next in line after Pinocchio, but his owner can't get him to talk, so the knights take her away. However, during the struggle, Tinkerbell's lantern spills pixie dust on the donkey, and he floats into the air, surprising everyone. Peter Pan and the 3 little pigs are amazed that the donkey can fly and talk, but the knights try to capture him. The pixie dust wears off, and the donkey falls to the ground and runs away into the forest. The donkey accidentally bumps into Shrek while he's posting a keep out poster. The knights approach, but the donkey hides behind Shrek. The captain of the guard threatens to arrest them, but when he sees he's alone, he runs away. The donkey follows Shrek and asks to stay with him, even after he tries to scare him off. The donkey sings and compliments Shrek, who eventually lets him stay outside his house for one night. As Shrek enjoys his meal, he hears a commotion and tells Donkey to stay outside. He then discovers the 3 blind mice on his table. Soon after, the 7 dwarfs bring in Snow White's bed, which they claim is taken by the big bad wolf. Shrek throws out the wolf but finds his house surrounded by numerous fairy tale creatures who reveal that they were evicted by Lord Farquaad. Donkey offers to lead Shrek to Farquaad, and Shrek agrees to see him to get the creatures off his swamp. They set off on a journey together, with Donkey singing, before being asked by Shrek to hum it instead. The lord of a castle, who is a dwarf, walks down a hallway and enters a torture chamber where Thelonious is drowning the gingerbread man in milk. The lord torments the gingerbread man and claims that all the fairy tale creatures are monsters that are ruining his perfect world. He demands to know where the other creatures are and tears off one of the gingerbread man's buttons. The lord is then interrupted by knights who bring in the evil queen's magic mirror. The magic mirror suggests that the lord can become a king by marrying a princess and presents 3 options: Cinderella, Snow White, and Princess Fiona, who is guarded by a dragon. Lord Farquaad chooses Princess Fiona and announces a tournament. The magic mirror tries to warn him about what happens to Fiona at night, but he ignores it and declares that he will be the perfect king. Shrek and Donkey arrive at Doloc, which is a castle with a Disneyland-like parking lot. Shrek jokes that the castle site might be compensating for something. As they approach the ticket booth, Shrek tries to talk to a costumed mascot that looks like Lord Farquaad, but the mascot runs away and gets knocked out by a turnstile. Shrek and Donkey enter the souvenir shop, which only has Lord Farquaad items. Donkey pulls a lever at an information booth, and the doors open to reveal singing wooden puppets that explain the rules of Doloc. After taking a photo, Shrek and Donkey look stunned. Shrek and Donkey hear music and head towards it. They arrive at a castle, where Lord Farquaad is holding a tournament. The winner will be chosen to save Princess Fiona. However, instead of choosing the best fighter, Farquaad decides that whoever kills the ogre Shrek will be the champion. Shrek and Donkey fight their way through the knights using barrels and axes. They even get cheers from the crowd. Eventually, Farquaad declares Shrek as the winner and asks them to save Fiona. Shrek agrees as long as he can get his swamp back from Farquaad. Farquaad agrees to the deal and Shrek sets off on his mission. As Shrek and Donkey make their way to save Princess Fiona, they come across different vegetable fields. Shrek takes a bite out of some of the veggies, and Donkey questions why Shrek would go through the trouble of rescuing a princess and fighting a dragon just to get his swamp back from Farquaad. Donkey advises Shrek to behave like an ogre and attack Farquaad's castle, but Shrek responds sarcastically, suggesting that he could have instead killed and drank the blood of some villagers. Shrek then explains to Donkey that ogres are more complex than people realize, comparing them to onions with multiple layers. Shrek and Donkey come across a dilapidated windmill on their journey. They travel for 2 days until they reach the castle where Princess Fiona is held captive, situated on a mountain surrounded by lava and brimstone. Donkey mistakenly believes the smell is coming from Shrek, but Shrek clarifies that if it were him, Donkey wouldn't be alive to smell it. They come across a footbridge over a river of lava leading to the castle, and Donkey is afraid to cross it. However, Shrek convinces him to cross by playing a trick on him. Inside the castle, Shrek instructs Donkey to find stairs so they can locate Princess Fiona. Shrek dons the armor of a deceased knight. Suddenly, a dragon appears and starts breathing fire, chasing after Donkey. Shrek attempts to grab the dragon's tail, but is thrown into Princess Fiona's room, waking her up in the process. Meanwhile, the dragon has Donkey cornered, but he compliments her on her teeth and realizes that she's a female dragon, so he begins to flirt with her. The dragon picks him up with her teeth and takes him away. After recovering from his fall, Shrek approaches Princess Fiona, but instead of expressing love, he shakes her awake. Princess Fiona desires love, but Shrek keeps his helmet on and drags her down the stairs. Downstairs, the dragon is showing affection towards Donkey. Shrek attempts to attack the dragon using a chain, but he falls and lands on Donkey, causing the dragon to kiss Shrek's exposed behind. The chain gets stuck around the dragon's neck like a collar. Shrek, Donkey, and Princess Fiona run away from the dragon, which repeatedly breathes fire as they crisscross the castle. The chain eventually tangles around all the pillars, and Shrek locks it into the floor using a sword. The dragon tries to fly after them, but the chain restrains it, and they escape safely across the bridge. After making it safely across, Fiona asks Shrek to take off his helmet to express love. However, she is disappointed to see that he's actually an ogre, and learns that Lord Farquaad is the one who sent him to rescue her for the purpose of marriage. Fiona refuses to leave with Shrek and insists that Lord Farquaad come himself. On their way back to Duloc, Fiona asks about Lord Farquaad and Duloc. Shrek and Donkey make fun of Lord Farquaad's height, but Fiona defends him. When they plan to reach Duloc the next day, Fiona demands that they camp immediately and they find a small rock enclosure for her to sleep in. While Donkey and Shrek talk about the stars, Fiona overhears Shrek discussing how people judge him based on his appearance, and that's why he's alone. In his castle, Lord Farquaad is seen lying in bed with a drink and asking the magic mirror to repeatedly show him the image of Princess Fiona, whom he deems as perfect. The next morning, Princess Fiona sings with a bird, which explodes when she hits a high note. She then cooks the bird's eggs for breakfast as a way of making it up to Shrek and Donkey for their bad start the previous day. As they head towards Duloc, a man named Robin Hood swings from a vine and tries to attack Shrek, but Fiona knocks him out with her kung fu moves. Shrek and Donkey are impressed, and Fiona explains that she learned to fight because she's used to living alone. However, she notices an arrow in Shrek's butt and sends Donkey to find a flower with red thorns to remove it. When Donkey returns, Shrek struggles, and Fiona and Shrek both fall, causing Donkey to faint at the sight of blood. They then head back to Duloc. In a field, Princess Fiona helps Shrek get rid of some flying bugs by collecting them in a spider's web and giving it to him to eat. Shrek then catches a frog and inflates it like a balloon, passing it to Fiona, who does the same with a snake. They playfully push each other before running off together, watching their inflated toys float away into the air. They eventually reach the windmill and spot Duloc in the distance. Shrek tells Fiona that her future awaits her, but Donkey interrupts and jokes that Lord Farquaad may be compensating for something. Shrek silences him and they continue on. Fiona expresses concern for Donkey's well-being, and Shrek plays along, pretending he looks terrible. Fiona offers to make him tea, and Donkey exaggerates his symptoms. Shrek and Fiona set off to find food and firewood, and Fiona compliments Shrek's cooking of wheat rat. They smile at each other and almost express love, but Donkey interrupts, claiming that the sunset is great. Fiona panics and goes to sleep alone in the windmill, while Donkey urges Shrek to confess his feelings to her. Shrek is hesitant, feeling that he's just an ogre while she's a princess. He walks off to gather more firewood, but Donkey notices that there's already plenty. Shrek sits alone, gazing at Duloc until nightfall. Donkey, scared of the dark, enters the windmill to find Fiona, but encounters a female ogre instead. He panics and yells for Shrek, believing the ogre ate Fiona. She calms him down and reveals that she is actually Fiona. She explains that a witch cast a spell on her when she was a child, causing her to transform into an ogre every night until she receives true love. Fiona must marry Farquaad before sunset the next day to avoid him seeing her in ogre form. Donkey tries to comfort her, pointing out that she and Shrek are both ogres and have much in common. Shrek carries a sunflower back to the windmill and rehearses what he'll say to Princess Fiona when he gives it to her. However, he overhears Fiona talking to Donkey about how she can't marry whoever she wants and that she doesn't believe anyone could love someone as hideous and ugly as herself. This makes Shrek feel disheartened, and he throws the sunflower down and storms off to Duloc. Fiona believes that the only way to break the spell is to marry her true love, and she makes Donkey promise not to tell anyone. Donkey suggests that she tells Shrek the truth, but Fiona refuses and takes the sunflower inside. Donkey sleeps by the campfire outside. The next morning, Princess Fiona pulls petals off a sunflower, reciting the he loves me not" game. She decides to tell Shrek about her curse and calls for him, but he angrily walks past her and sits on the steps, having overheard her conversation with Donkey the night before. Lord Farquaad arrives with knights, and after greeting Fiona, Shrek demands the deed to his swamp. Farquaad gives it to him and proposes to Fiona. She accepts, and they plan to marry that day. Shrek walks away in anger, and Donkey tries to stop him, saying he knows something about Fiona. Shrek yells at Donkey and tells him to follow Fiona as he wants to be alone in his swamp. Shrek returns to his swamp and finds that the fairy tale creatures have left, leaving only their tents and some debris behind. He feels sad and walks back to his house. Meanwhile, Princess Fiona is seen looking out the window in her wedding dress and feeling equally unhappy. Shrek also looks out his window and then throws a sunflower into the fireplace in anger. Fiona adjusts the wedding cake and looks at the suit of armor with confusion. Farquaad admires himself in the magic mirror. Donkey, on the other hand, drinks from a pond and is startled by the sound of the dragon crying. They console each other. Shrek and Fiona are both alone at their respective tables, putting their faces in their hands. Shrek hears a noise outside and finds Donkey building a wall. Donkey claims half of the swamp as his share, but Shrek disagrees. They argue, and Donkey tells Shrek that he is mean and unappreciative. Shrek asks Donkey why he came back if he feels that way, and Donkey explains that forgiving each other is what friends do. Shrek admits that he was hurt by Fiona's comments, and Donkey reveals that she wasn't talking about him. They make up, and Donkey calls for the dragon to take them to Duloc for the wedding. At the castle, the wedding between Princess Fiona and Lord Farquaad is happening. However, the ceremony is interrupted by the arrival of the dragon, causing chaos. Donkey tells Shrek to object when the preacher says the line, but they soon discover that Fiona and Farquaad are already married. Shrek bursts into the church, revealing Farquaad's true intentions, and tells Fiona that he is not her true love. Farquaad laughs, and Fiona asks Shrek if he loves her, causing her to transform into an ogre. Shrek takes the revelation in stride, noting that it explains a lot about her recent behavior. The crowd is surprised when Farquaad sees Fiona and insults her, causing her it. He orders his guards to take Fiona and Shrek away. Despite their attempts to reach each other, Farquaad insists that they're still married, and he's still king. While being dragged away, Shrek signals for help and the dragon arrives, swallowing Farquaad whole and burping out his crown. Shrek and Fiona confess their love for each other, and Fiona undergoes a transformation, radiating light and shattering windows, before collapsing on the floor. Shrek helps her up and assures her that she's beautiful. They express love. Shrek and Fiona have their wedding ceremony at the swamp with all the fairy tale creatures and Donkey in attendance. One of the fairy godmothers transforms mice into horses and a garlic bulb into a carriage for the newlyweds. Shrek and Fiona ride away in the carriage while Donkey and the other creatures continue to sing and dance. The fairy tale ends with, and they lived ugly ever after. The end. The book then closes, revealing that the fairy tale was about Shrek, and the song comes to an end. Thank you for joining us today for our recap of the beloved movie Shrek. If you're looking for another heartwarming and thought-provoking movie to watch, we highly recommend checking out WALL-E. This Pixar gem tells the story of a lonely robot left behind on Earth after humans have abandoned the planet, and his journey to discover the true meaning of love and connection. So click this video and I'll see you there.